Hi, it's Scott Allen, and welcome to what will become a regular feature on The Raw, where I look beyond the headlines and give you some analysis of what really happened in a rugby match. The All Blacks completely outplayed the Wallabies on the weekend, so let's start by looking at some of the issues that arise out of that match. First up, the perception that James O'Connor was dreadful in defence and cost the Wallabies multiple tries. He didn't. He only made 2 defensive errors on the night. Here's the first within the first minute. He needs to stay out on Cruden, who's his man, and trust Ben Mowen to make the tackle on Reid. Instead he comes in as a second man. That gives Cruden space on the outside. Fortunately no try, but it does put the Wallabies under pressure. Now to his second error, and this did result in a try. There are no excuses. This is his error alone. At this point, it looks like Adam Ashley Cooper may fall off Cruden, but O'Connor had to trust him to complete the tackle and stay out on Ben Smith. Instead, he came in expecting Ashley Cooper to miss the tackle, and as you well know, that gave Ben Smith a free run to the line. However, O'Connor isn't responsible for any of the other All Black tries on the night. Let's look at Richie McCaw's try, which I know most people are blaming James O'Connor for. Let's start by looking at the positioning of the players. Here's O'Connor on the end of the line already. Sure, the All Blacks have got extra numbers on that side of the field, but O'Connor can't leave the inside unprotected and just move to the touchline to mark his opposite number. So there's nothing wrong with O'Connor's positioning. Hall and Hooper are still around the previous ruck. If they can realign quickly and back inside O'Connor, that will allow O'Connor to push out and deal with the wider men. But they don't. They come back slowly and they align outside of O'Connor. Yes, O'Connor makes the decision to go forward and try and cut the ball off inside before the All Blacks can get it wide, but it's not that decision that cost the Wallabies a try. If anything, it's the slow realignment of Hall and Hooper that has more impact. Players make errors all the time, and there are plenty in this match that we could assign blame for a particular try to. But why do we need to blame one particular player for one particular mistake as being the critical factor in the whole match? Let's look at the broader picture. O'Connor certainly made a couple of defensive errors in the first couple of minutes, but thereafter he was one of the Wallabies' best players. He was certainly their most potent attacking threat. Now to Matt Toomua, who didn't have a great match, but he's not to blame for what happened. In the first half, he was at first receiver 15 times when the Wallabies ran the ball. Of those, only rated 2 as being good involvements. That's 13%. He got better in the second half though. Of his 13 first receiver involvements, I rated 83%, or 11 of them, as good. I think his main issue was that he wasn't giving the attack direction. As you can see in this clip, he's just shoveling the ball on. This time it was to Christian Leilifano, who threw a poor pass, one of a number during the match. In this next clip, he doesn't engage the All Black line, and that allows them to just drift onto the wider players. He needed to take that ball to the line a little more before giving it. But as you can see, all of the Wallabies' attack is going across the park. Same here. Shoveled on, just going out wide. They're trying to go around the All Blacks rather than through them. And here's an example in the second half where again all the players are just shoveling the ball on, and that starts from your inside man who needs to take direction and straighten the attack. Here's another. Toomua shuffles to Mowen, to Leofano, to Kurandrani who's under pressure, and it's another one of those Wallaby errors. No one's taking control and going forward, and that's got to start with your 10. If you're going to play wide, you've got to make sure that you've got the capability to retain your ball at the breakdown. That responsibility largely falls to your back row. Here's an example. We've got Hooper in the ruck, Mowen close by, and McMenamin's on the blind side. The ball moves wide, and we've got no back rowers who are out there to help retain the ball. Now you'll see that Richie McCaw is one of the first All Blacks in. We still don't have any forwards arriving. There we are, Mowen and Hooper have just arrived now. But McCaw's been there for ages, been all over the ball, and you get a better shot of it here. There's McCaw on the ball now. We're waiting. There's Mowen just arriving in the background and Hooper. The Wallabies back row just aren't getting to these breakdowns fast enough. As you can see on the screen, the combined starting back row only got into the rucks first on 14% of occasions. James Hall and Rob Simmons almost matched that on their own. In particular, the number 7 has to be leading that statistic every match. But they also need to share the workload, so that we've got at least one back rower getting into every breakdown, with the other forwards filling in where necessary. In this final example, Mowen's the ball carrier on this phase. On the next phase, the Wallabies are going to go wider, but they play 2 deep and 2 lateral. And there are no forwards anywhere near the ball. Hooper's the closest, but he's the decoy runner. When they're caught behind the line, no forwards get to this breakdown. They're all too focused on attack. And when we look at where the back row are now, Hooper's down at the bottom of the screen, McMenamin's wider, and Mowen is even wider again. If the Wallabies back row don't start focusing on retaining the ball rather than being ball carrying options, the All Blacks are going to keep disrupting the ball at the breakdown, turning it over, slowing it down, and that's seriously impacting on the Wallabies' attacking capabilities. Hopefully this video explains a little better some of the things I've written about in the accompanying article. I'll have a preview video for Bledisloe 2 later in the week.